The 49ers just lost to the Seahawks. Geno Smith, for once in his life, came through big time when they needed it most. What a freaking disaster, man. I listen, I was live before the game. I said this game was 50-50 with Kittle out. Turns out it was just about as 50-50 as you could get, rather. David and I are going to break it all down next. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports. We are giving you our take down to the last second. Today's show is brought to you by Raycon. You'll hear a little bit more about them later in the show. But David, thank you for joining me as always. We watched the end of that game together on stream. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. Except for the 49ers freaking loss, man. What the hell?
Hey, man, might be an all-time show. Lifelong Niners fan. We've all been here for post games. You've seen us do this for years. There's a lot to unpack tonight, and I think there's going to be a lot of soul searching and a lot of tropes and a lot of silver linings are going to be put to bed. But it's not that, it's just so, and I know this game tonight, there were multiple opportunities for this team to have it. Yes, they were down. Well, Brandon Ayuk got hurt at the beginning of the year, but CMC's back. Trent Williams plays. Bosa plays most of the game, has multiple sacks. So, you say, but it does go out. And when he goes out, the defense still found a way to play some football, right? The key thing here is the offense was anemic from kickoff to the final whistle. Brock Purdy, one of the worst games of his career. Absolutely late, absolutely slow to pick up on things, throwing into triple coverage, force-feeding ball, play calling tonight also stale. There's a lot of that we're going to go through, but I think one of the biggest things that we need to understand about this team at 5-5 with the tiebreakers that we're going to walk through methodically tonight is that it's virtually impossible. Now, it doesn't mean the 49ers can't do it, but it would take, with the Rams winning today, with the Cardinals hot, with other teams in the NFC, and now with the divisional record that they have, the record that they have against NFC opponents compounded with that, it is going to take a relative miracle in prospective tiebreakers for the 49ers to make the playoffs. And the only way that I feel like they really have a good shot at this point is now to win the division and have everybody else collapse. And the way the Rams are playing, even though they've had a stinker last week against Miami, the New England Patriots defense has been playing better. They came into the day, took care of business. The Cardinals look like they are operating in all three phases. This could be the pivotal point in this franchise history. And it's not no hyperbole.
It's definitely a pivotal point for this season, for this run it back crew, this team that we expected to be competitive for a Super Bowl. I remember preseason arguing with people, debating with people. A lot of beat writers on this team, a lot of water carriers for this team saying this is the best roster that Kyle Shanahan has had. I'm like, what are you looking at? Based off of what? There's no depth on this team. And if they have any injury issues at all, which they always have other than last year, they're going to fall apart. And that's what's happening right in front of our eyes. It is so frustrating to watch this team. Everything is way harder than it should be. Even when they win, it feels like they lose, man. Every single game, every time they have a chance to put a game away, they had another chance today. They could not do it. If the offense can just go score some points after a 3rd down and a half a yard, a 4th down and a half an inch, basically, you get the stop on defense without Bosa, without Greenlaw, without Ward. And for once, offense, can you carry this freaking team throughout the whole course of this regime? They've relied on the defense, and yet again, the defense did their job when they needed it most, and that's what they came up with. That was it. a first down or two, and then you couldn't even get a field goal attempt.
Yep.
Man, oh my gosh.
And let's be real. There are a lot of defenders that showed up today, and people will perseverate or obsess upon like a play here, or like, oh, this guy was in coverage, and this guy got a catch. Yes, Jackson Smith and Jigba is a really good NFL player. And when he came into the draft, he's a good route runner. Sometimes he's going to catch a timing slant. Sometimes he's going to get open. He's going to make plays. That being said, the defense did, all things considered, play really well. Yuto Gross-Matos showed up today, played, coming in cold, played well. Samuel Konanu on down the line. Another guy that I didn't, but we can't talk about Fred Warner. Fred, I don't think we could call his name today, but the defense did their job. I know when we go through this, everybody's going to talk about the offensive line. There were plenty of situations that Brock Purdy had clean pockets. Plenty of situations also where Brock Purdy backed up into a sack or didn't step up in the pocket. But many times where Brock Purdy is forcing it to a pre-diagnosed read, whether it was CMC, or it's Kyle Juszczyk, or it's Deebo Samuel, late to diagnose in certain situations as well. No zip on his balls, pause. All of these things that boil down, like you said, is too hard. And we have seen this team only soundly defeat two teams this year. Opening week against the Jets. And week 3, I think it was, like we're talking about September football against the Patriots with Jacoby Brissett, because Gerard Mayo's too chicken, to actually play his franchise quarterback, Drake May, who's playing lights out right now. Those teams are combined 6-16 and are one of the handful of teams that are vying for that number 1 pick. Those are the only two teams in the Niners. Now, what are we at, 5-5? In their 5 wins, where they soundly beat anybody. They have made the last several weeks, even the Cowboys game, guys, got close at the end. The Seahawks game in Seattle got tight in the end. This team does not know really how to truly close out with conviction unless they're playing the Sisters of the Poor. And even when they're doing that, it's never a given. It's like a coin flip. And to have, like you said, hey, people are alleging this is the best roster in football, the best play caller in football, MVP. Number 4 in MVP voting last year, Brock Purdy. CMC is back 2 weeks in a row. CMC back. Offense is anemic. Okay. Trent Williams, best tackle in football, playing, having another great year. Right. Yes, George Kittle was out today. Yes, Brandon Ayuk went down, but Jawan Jennings is playing like a man. Deebo Samuel is supposed to be an All-Pro, but Deebo's kind of AWOL. Maybe Deebo should lock in. Doubtful. Okay. Maybe Deebo should lock in. And everybody told me, like, oh, yeah, this is just a team lighting a fire. Yeah, Deebo putting his hand around Tabor Pepper's throat. Yeah, Deebo, why don't you lock in, bro? This team is so indisciplined, and the culture of this team is so country club, so cowboy boy. There is no accountability, none. And they're in a situation now at 5-5. We're going to break down the schedule. We're going to break down their opponents, but we're also going to break down the opponents of these other teams that they're vying to compete with to get in the playoffs. You're going to have everybody fall apart exactly when the 49ers need them to fall apart for the 49ers to have success. And can it happen? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? No.
You and I were texting a lot this week about all the scenarios.
Yep.
And we both agreed they couldn't lose to Seattle.
Nope.
Right? Like that was the one. They couldn't lose to Seattle. It starts with Seattle. Yep. You can't lose that division game. And here we go. They lose to Seattle. That puts them they're back so much against the wall. It's absolutely incredible. And this offense, sadly, the last 2 weeks, Kittle played last week, by the way. CMC played last week. Kittle, we know, didn't play this week. But sadly, this offense has turned into a Jawan Jennings comeback route on 3rd down. That's the whole offense right now. Oh, you get 3rd down and long. Jawan Jennings has got it. Oh, 3rd down and long. Let's get a little comeback route or a little out route from Jawan Jennings for the 1st down. That's the whole offense right now. Jawan Jennings on comebacks and out routes on 3rd down. That's the offense, man. I don't know where this team would be without Jawan Jennings. I really don't, offensively.
No, and I have a long thought. Everybody like Jawan Jennings, 3rd and Jawan. He's a dog. He's a beast. I don't think anybody truly knew how much he would be leaned on this year. Okay. Yeah. Rams game. last week's game against the Bucks, this week here. I don't think anybody really thought that would happen. Obviously, the BA injury precipitated a lot of that. But also, let's be real, guys. Deebo Samuel is AWOL. Deebo Samuel, Kyle Shanahan even said it last week. Who did he say? He said in a presser, and he said, Juwan Jennings, our ex-receiver. Juwan Jennings is our ex-receiver, and he's going to be going forward. That is exactly what he said. Didn't say that about Deebo Samuel. But you know what he has as Deebo Samuel? He has what, can I quote? I mean, I won't say Jeff Mueller is a PT. He's a medical guy. Niners fan.
Yeah.
He says Deebo Samuel needs to be gone next year. Not because he isn't necessarily an asset to the team, but because Kyle Shanahan is obsessed with gimmicky bullcrap play calls of Deebo that no longer work like they used to. And I would differ from Jeff here in this situation, that they don't work because Deebo does well with the ball in his hands in space, accelerate. But right now behind the line of scrimmage, working as a power back or an eye back or working in a situation where you get the ball behind the line of scrimmage, he's not working as a decoy. Okay. And when he's been at his best, it's been when it's misdirection motion. Now it's just hand the ball to Deebo. Deebo's not separating downfield. Deebo is not a viable option downfield. He hasn't been all year. He actually hasn't been for 2 years.
No, and you're right.
And so with BA out and with George Kittle out and Kyle Juszczyk, I mean, can we just put that experiment? Can we be done with that? Okay, they don't have Ricky Pearsall. I mean, and Ricky Pearsall. I mean, my God, the man got shot this year. I will not slander Ricky P. First round pick, did not make an appearance though today. Is not nowhere woven in nowhere in the was not targeted. This is your number one pick with Kittle out, with BA out, Jacob Cowing, no targets, no play, nothing. In fact, if we go, let's just take a second to like really break down the futility of the 49ers passing game today. Okay, we had today. If I can get it up here. Here's what we had. Juwan Jennings, 11 targets, 10 catches and 11 targets. But a possession receiver. He averaged 9 yards a catch because he was getting the sticks. Third and Juwan, right? Or first and Juwan, or whatever you want to call, right? He's an elite possession receiver. That's what Juwan Jennings is, and that's what he did today. Christian McCaffrey, 5 targets. We were told Christian McCaffrey coming back was going to open up the offense. Christian McCaffrey actually didn't have a catch that wasn't taken, that actually went for positive yardage or even counted as a play until the third quarter. Deebo Samuel, 7 targets, 4 catches, 22 yards. He averaged 5.5 yards a carry. That's Kyle Juszczyk, 2 targets. Eric Saubert, 1 target. Ricky Pearsall, 2 targets, no catches. So the only 2 receivers that caught the ball today were Deebo Samuel and Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings almost tripled up on Deebo, almost doubled him up in targets. And McCaffrey takes 4 catches. 19 carries for 4.2 yards. Jordan Mason, 2 carries for 13. Brock Purdy. We'll get to that. Right now, guys, as it stands, and we don't know, like this injury with George Kittle, these things don't just like miraculously get better. We're going to talk about CMC's injury as well. This team right now, as it shows, is I've been a fan of Brock Purdy. You know that, Jesse. I like Brock. I'm also, as many people on Twitter know, as much as a fan I am of Brock, as much as I have to preface I would say I am a nuanced critic of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is not an MVP caliber quarterback. Brock Purdy is not, I'm going to repeat this again. Brock Purdy is not an MVP caliber quarterback. He's not. I have a Brock Purdy jersey. I like Brock a lot. I think he's a great person. I think I love what he does with his legs. I think they can win a Super Bowl with Brock. He is not an MVP caliber quarterback. You show you're an MVP caliber quarterback when some of your pieces that are elite aren't at your disposal. But today, what you saw, CMC is back. Is he at 100%? Hell no. But he's still CMC. Trent Williams is there. Your offensive line is healthy. Trent Williams didn't play poorly. Okay. George Kittle is out. I'm sorry. Deebo is like, he's been able, but like you have to show that you can put them on their back. And at the end of the game, at the beginning of the game, at times when they needed to get a first down, Brock couldn't do it. First kickoff, 3 and out, ball in the dirt to Deebo. Everybody blamed Jennings for running his route short of the sticks. He didn't have to throw that ball. He had no pressure. It was a clean pocket. I don't think that people understand this offense isn't going to miraculously just start to explode. They're not going to just start to be this explosive, offense that's going to be able to carry this defense like they were last year. And that's the problem.
Yeah, man. I will say this. I don't it's interesting because when Brock doesn't play amazing, I often avoid talking about it because I I don't expect amazing from Brock all the time. But I also am not advocating to pay him $65 million, right? Or 60 million or 55 million, because I don't expect him to carry this team. I just don't think he's that player.
Nope.
And so when he has a game like this, which I don't think he's the reason that they lost by any means, but he wasn't the reason they were going to win either. It's what I expect because I think he's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's a carry your team type of quarterback. And people get frustrated when he does play well and you don't praise him at every turn. And it's like, but what about when he doesn't carry the team and you're saying he's a franchise quarterback? Like, there is no winning. I mean, there was today I had put out a tweet and I said, without Jennings, I don't know where this team would be right now. And this was after he had just had the drive where he picked up a third down short of the sticks, carries 4 guys across or whatever, gets a first down, then he gets in the end zone, whatever. 4 catches, 60 something yards and a touchdown on that drive. Completely was a one-man wrecking crew.
Mm-hmm.
And all I got was, oh, dude, you hate Purdy so much you can't praise him. Yeah. Oh my gosh, are we the 49ers or are we the Brock Purdys? Because anytime you praise anybody but Brock on this team, you're a hater. Yep. But you can say whatever you want about any other player. But if you praise another player, you're taking a shot at Brock. It's like, what weird world are we living in? I thought Brock was okay today. Oh. He wasn't great. He wasn't awful. He was there, right? Like, that's it. He had a couple good throws. He had a couple awful throws. It was a mediocre game from him. But he's not the reason that they lost. He just wasn't the reason that they won. I don't know. To me, I don't think there's a lot to talk about with Brock, but again, that's coming from the standpoint that I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. But if you think he's a franchise quarterback, then we better talk a lot about Brock today.
Well, I actually disagree with you slightly here, Jesse. I think it was one of his worst games. I think that it was one of those situations where I felt I was watching Jimmy Garoppolo, and making the play with his legs to get the touchdown, that had me geeked. I stood up out of my chair. I was pumped. I love seeing Brock use his legs like that. I mentioned how his ability to have pocket awareness and pocket mobility while keeping his eyes downfield and moving on his legs is definitely a weapon. And then, though, when he is in the pocket in the situation today, it just felt like he's not seeing the field quick enough. There was a situation one time where he chose to run the ball on, I think it was a 2nd and long situation. And it was in the middle of the field and he ran into 4 defenders. It's a dangerous play. He only gains 2 or 3 yards, right? If he throws to CMC on the check down on 2nd and long, he gains 4 more yards and he doesn't put himself at risk. And you put yourself at a 3rd and 11 instead of a 3rd and 15. These are things that he does. Force feeding targets or taking it upon himself in this situation to be a hero. And the interception today to where he was targeting CMC with Devin Witherspoon
against one of the best corners in the NFL. What are we doing?
And to be fair, Devin Witherspoon can be kind of handsy, but that's a lot of corners in the NFL. Renardo Green is handsy as well, right? Devin Witherspoon, though, in that situation, it was just like glue. There was no separation, and it wasn't CMC's fault. CMC was just going to place in the zone. It just wasn't a situation where you should force feed that target. And you know what's going to happen? People are going to say, well, it was a tip ball. Okay. I think at the end of the day, when they had the ball and all they needed was a first down, there were situations where Debo was open. Were there other situations? We could not get a first down. I'm sorry. I need my MVP caliber quarterback who is not ending up with his face full of grass. He didn't end up on his back. He wasn't under pressure. He didn't take monster hits. You have to make it happen. And there were multiple times in this game where the 49ers had the opportunity to make it happen. And again, I don't think Brock was completely abysmal to the point where it's like, but I do think that in the context of this game and what the 49ers needed, this was a bad game from Brock Purdy. This was one of his worst games he's played because he just did not deliver. And it looked like he was lost in certain situations. We cannot have that. And to me, what I see in this team is when the going gets rough and the pieces go down a little bit, And even when you have all these other things at your disposal, Brock Purdy is not good enough. I'm watching this Bills and Chiefs game right now. Okay. Brock Purdy's not good enough to make up for that. Josh Allen, who do you have as weapons today? A hurt Amari Cooper, Khalil Shakir, no Dalton Kincaid.
No Coleman.
No, I'll line. It's not. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. I think what weapons has he had all year? And they just lost their first game of the year. We know that we're preaching the choir between you and I, but I think the 49ers fans watching this is not Brock hate. This is just objective understanding. Like, I think you guys need to really understand this team is 5-5 and the world is not out to get them. They had the opportunity to be better than this, and they're not. And they keep showing you week after week who they are, week after week. We didn't get to a post-game show last week because you were at the game in Tampa. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. That game was almost worse than this game. I mean,
everything is so hard for this team right now. It's like they have to scratch and claw for every inch that they get. And again, I feel like every time the 49ers lose in these games where the defense gives up 20 or less, somehow, like the offense scores at the end, right? The opposing offense scores at the end, and it's like, oh, the defense blew it. They couldn't hold. It's like, how many times does the offense get to score 17 points or less than 20 with Kyle Shanahan, an elite quarterback? These are your words, an elite head coach, an elite quarterback, elite players, and skate by scot-free. How many times do you have to watch it happen before you're willing to hold them accountable? How many times? You didn't want to hold them accountable in the Super Bowl because it was the special teams. It was a muff punt. Never mind the fact that you got an interception to start the half and couldn't put up any points. You don't want to hold them accountable today because, oh my gosh, the defense without Bosa, without Greenlaw, without Ward gets a third and a foot and a fourth and inches stop to give the offense the ball to go close the game out at the very least. Put you up 7 with a field goal so that you can go win this thing. Or how about they got you an interception to start the second half also? You're in field goal range already. Just punch the damn ball in, but you get a field goal. That's all you got out of that. How many times are you going to make excuses for these guys? How many times? And obviously you is not you, David, but my gosh, man.
Well, I was about ready to start crying on the spot.
I know you were. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry.
You've hurt my feelings on live. Well, this is in television, but and then the recorded for posterity on YouTube. I'm going to I was about ready to become a meme, a Jordan meme. Jesse's a bully. Just start that trending on Twitter. Honestly, man, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And I know we got things we're going to talk about specifics here in a minute. I think that. Again, I've said all year, because I feel like you have to on Twitter, because everybody thinks that anything that you say that's a critique is some type of hyperbolic. And so I always say it makes me cringe myself because it shouldn't be necessary to say. I said, nobody's saying the sky is falling, because I wasn't saying that. Now you're at 5-5.
Now the sky is falling.
Well, now look, of course, if the 49ers, right? If the 49ers go 12-5, they're in. They probably end at 11-6. Let's be real, right? That means, though, that they either have to win, they have to go 7-0 the rest of the way, or 6-1. They go into Green Bay next week at Lambeau. The weather looks like it's probably going to be good, but it's like high 30s, low 40s. Doesn't look like they're going to have precipitation. Then you're going to Buffalo. Okay, so they don't have the 1 o'clock Eastern start time. They got that.
And Buffalo's coming off a bye. Remember?
Yeah, Buffalo's coming up for a bye after an emotionally just invigorating win against the Super Bowl champions this afternoon. Okay, they're coming after bye again. You're going into Green Bay after a tough game against Chicago, and they're coming in and thinking, "Hey, they're seeing what the Niners at." I told you this week that you're right. They have to beat Seattle, but I kind of took that as a given. I really did feel confident. I did. I felt confident about this win today. Going in.
I think, David, no, real quick. I think most 49er fans did, including myself. And then I did a show on Thursday, and I really started to think about this game and talked with Sunil about it. And I tried to make the case like, man, guys, I think we might be like a little too confident right now against the Seattle Seahawks. And not that I thought that the 49ers were going to lose, but I just felt like, man, Seattle's a live dog here. And we really should probably respect that. I really, that was what the show was on Thursday, a big chunk of it. And here we are going, man, what the hell, man? How did we lose to this team?
Well, yeah. And that's where I'm at now is I did tell you, though, that the game that they have to win was Green Bay.
Yeah.
Now that's magnified by, I mean,
for sure.
factors.
But even winning that game doesn't do what it was designed to do.
No.
Winning that game was designed to own a tiebreaker against Green Bay. But because Green Bay snuck by the skin of their teeth, beating Chicago today and blocking that kick, and the 49ers lost, even if the 49ers beat them, they still have to make up a game of ground on them just to have the tiebreaker. And that's going to be really, really hard to do, knowing that you got to play Buffalo and Detroit and the Cardinals and the Rams. And don't look now, but Miami in Miami.
Yep. The 49ers are now last place in the NFC West. Now they're tied with the Rams and the Seahawks with the same record, 5-5. But again, so like I said, there are legitimate situations where the only route really forward to me that they have is to like run the table, or they just have to win the division and everybody else has to fall apart too. And the reality is that the schedules for some of these other teams are not as difficult as what they're going into Green Bay and Buffalo in consecutive weeks on the road is not easy. Okay. And so here's the thing. Niners 5-5 they are 1-3 in division. The Seahawks are 1-2. The Rams are 2-1. The Cardinals are 2-0. They're 6-4. They're 1-3. The best the Niners can do is 3-3, 500 in the division. So that's one of those tiebreakers that you're looking at because head-to-heads don't even mean anything at that point. You're going to be like, hey, if they lose to the Rams, let's say down the road, by that point, their story could have already been written. But if they lose that one and only have the opportunity to go 2-4, coming off a short week after playing Chicago, I don't know. But this is, and we could walk through every single computation possible, every prospective tiebreaker. They're 10th in the conference right now. And they got Tampa Bay at 4-6, Chicago at 4-6, and the New Orleans Saints, who I'm not saying are, but at 4-7, they're not that far behind the 5-5 49ers. And they play in a shit division. Okay. So the wheels could come off. Okay. I was driving a bus a couple weeks ago and the wheels literally came off. And look, okay, with kids, the wheels literally came off. The lug nuts were loose. So I survived that. And I think the 49ers can survive a little bit, but not really. And I think that I know we're going to walk game by game as we go through the schedule, but I'm struggling to find silver linings. And I don't ever take advantage of an injury. I know Jair Alexander went down today. You never want to see a guy get hurt. You're going into Green Bay, maybe against a depleted secondary. I don't say silver lining like that's good for Jair, but like, is that, I don't know. Like Lambeau is a hostile environment. The 49ers are also Nick Bosa. Is he healthy? Is
George Kittle both might miss next week at this point. I mean, who knows? George
Kittle hamstring in 30-degree weather. I mean, I don't know.
Jay says, dude, our whole division is one game away. We'll be fine. I don't think you understand how tiebreakers work, my guy. I mean, let's put it this way right now. Let's just assume the 49ers lose 2 more games, which I think is very fair to say at this point. Like we might be being generous, but let's just say they lose 2 more games and they go 10-7. If them and the Cardinals both end 10-7, you know what we need from the Cardinals? Not only do the 49ers have to beat the Cardinals, but the Cardinals would have to lose 2 out of 3 games against, they have Seattle twice and they have the Rams. They have to lose 2 out of those 3 just for us to own the tiebreaker against them. And we have to beat them and we have to beat the Rams.
Yep.
That's how. So right now, from a tiebreaker standpoint, the 49ers are screwed. Like, this is not good, let alone the Rams right now. If the Rams beat the 49ers the second time around, I mean, it's you got no chance of catching up. Like, they really put themselves behind the 8 ball here. Yes, as far as like a win-loss thing, they're a game behind, but really right now, they're about 2 full games behind the Cardinals. Because of tiebreakers.
Can I bring 49ers fans back to reality a little bit here?
Yeah.
Cardinals are the team that's undefeated in division, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So they're also the team with the best record in the division. They're first place. They're a full game now above the 49ers. Now, again, they're only a game back. Here's what the Cardinals now. It's
but
not
they're
a gimme
2 games ahead technically right now.
Right. So this idea the Cardinals go into Seattle next week, huge game for them. But they're coming off a bye week. Okay. They're coming off a bye week going into Seattle next week. Then they travel to Minnesota to a team that's not quite as good as people thought that they were. Sam Darnold is starting to Sam Darnold, but yet the Vikings are 8-2.
Yeah.
They kind of reminded me of what they did a couple of years ago with a record that they're starting to kind of show that they're human. Those are 2 big games. They're both on the road. Okay. Even if you lose those 2 games, you go to 6-6 and go to 500. The 49ers play Green Bay and Buffalo. Okay. Let's say they win one of those games. The 49ers win one of them. They're 6-6. Okay. They're still 1-3. They're still 1-3 in division. Right. The Cardinals will be 2-1 with the same record. And then in the NFC, the Cardinals still have a better conference record. After those 2 hard games on the road for the Cardinals, they go home for the Seahawks, home against the Patriots, and to Carolina, who's tanking. Then they go to the Rams, and what point, if the Rams are still, who knows? And then that Week 18 game might not even matter anymore. But we both told us this week that that's probably the game it comes down to. If the Cardinals can find a way just to win one of the games in the next 2 weeks against the Seahawks and the Vikings on the road, and feasibly win 4 out of the next 5 games, let's say they win 3 out of the next 5 games, which I think is very realistic. That puts the Cardinals at 9-7. Excuse me. What are they at? 6-4. 9-6. That brings them at 9-6 going to the final 2 games at the Rams, at home against the Niners. Okay. If they go 9-7 and lose to the Rams, and they go into the home game against the Niners at 9-7, the Niners, who are 5-5, have to hope that they don't have more than 2 losses in the next 6 games before they go into that game. That's how we're walking you guys through this. Okay. So you got the Packers and the Bills coming up. Then you go home for the Bears. Then you got short week at home against the Rams. Then you go to Miami. Okay. Then you go home Monday Night Football, the best team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions, who, I mean, and then you're going on the road to Arizona to a team that is pretty damn good. You got to hope you don't win. You got to hope you don't lose 2 out of the next 6 games. You got to hope if you can't go, if you lose 2 out of the next 6 games, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't 4-2 isn't going to be good enough probably. And then it's going to be, and you got to hope the Rams are losing a bunch of games too. We'll go through that too. And all of a sudden, guys, the Seahawks, they're 5-5 as well. And they have a tiebreaker with the division right now.
You need literally everything to go your way possible and win. Yeah, which right now we
play the Cards again, my guy, Jay.
It may not matter. It may not matter is the point. The whole point is it may not matter.
Jesse and I are not saying it's impossible. We've said, yes,
for sure,
you could do this, but you're going to have to be like playing. You're going to have to flip a switch that hasn't been flipped yet. And Fred Warner is after every game is saying, "Oh, it's good to have that grimy game." Oh, okay. After that Tampa game, I just had to take a shower. It was so cringy. It was like this idea of like, oh, yeah, it's just good to be one of those hard-fought games. You've been in hard-fought games all year. What are you talking about? Against Tampa, who had no receivers and one of the worst defenses in the NFL.
Man, absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And that's just it. Like, again, losing to Seattle. This has been talking about this for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. You had 4 games that were super important. The 3 division games and the Green Bay Packer game. And in my opinion, if you lost one of those 4, especially the division, the Packers, you could eke by if you'd lost to the Packers, as long as you won your 3 in division games. But all the tiebreakers, none of the tiebreakers go in your favor now. You have to hope for a miracle, a small miracle. And you know, I get it. We've seen teams. I saw Jay say this, and I agree. We've seen teams sneak in like the Giants and go on these runs. I'm not saying that's impossible.
No.
But you got to get into the playoffs first. That's the whole point. You've got to sneak in order to be that team that goes on a magical run. And what I'm proposing is sneaking in means not just winning, but expecting other people to lose. And that's you have no control over that. Absolutely zero. And when one of those teams you need to lose is the Cardinals, and they have a game remaining against the Patriots and the Panthers, okay, like good luck, man. And you've got teams like the Bills, the Packers, the Lions, the Rams, and the Cardinals. I don't know, man. It seems very, very, very unlikely. Very unlikely.
I will just say this. As I told you this week, next week's game is the biggest game of the season for the 49ers. If you lose that game, you go to 5-6, and you go to 3-5 in the NFC. Okay. The Packers would go to 8-3. Okay. No, excuse me. 8-3. Yes. They would have a 3-game lead.
Yep.
With only 6 games left to go. The Packers would then go to 4-3. They're only 3-3 in the conference. But this is, and then you better hope if you lose that game, the way the Bills are playing right now, this next 2 games are the most important. And I actually feel like both of them are must win. I don't think this team can be 6-6. I think I'll put it this way. If you could be 6-6 going into the Bears game, you have a chance, but you're, again, like you said, you're hoping that everybody else is crumbling around you.
Yep.
And I think that,
and you got to get healthy too, just to even be in the. I mean, Bosa may not play, Kittle may not play, Dre Greenlaw, his practice window still hasn't opened. Charvarius Ward going through very personal thing. I mean, we don't know. These are a lot of good players, man. At some point, like, it's just you can't overcome that many good players missing time. No. You just can't. So, we're gonna get to your comments in a minute, and then we got to talk. There's still so much to talk about, but I do got to pay the bills, and that means we got a 60-second ad from Raycon, who is the sponsor of today's show. So I'm going to run that ad, and I'm just letting you know the model in this ad, super good looking. I'm just throwing it out there. Here we go. A lot of you don't know this about me, but I am a bit of an earbud klepto, which is why today's sponsor is Raycon and their everyday earbuds. Man, for just $79.99, budget friendly, you're going to get Bluetooth 5.0, IPX66 rated, which means it's dust proof and water resistant, plus 32 hours before you have to recharge these things. 8 hours of runtime plus 3 full charges on the case. And if you forget to charge them, guess what? 10 minutes of charge will get you 90 more minutes of usage, which is perfect for when you are hitting the workouts tough. Link is in the description. Check these guys out. It's also pinned to the top of the chat. If you use my link, you're going to get an additional discount. And remember, supporting the sponsors is supporting the channel. If you want a comfortable earbud that sounds fantastic, Raycon has got you covered. Thank you, Raycon, for being the sponsor of today's show. Let's get back to the video. Dude, that guy's super good looking.
That was just looking, that guy. Seriously, you need to prepare people a little bit more than that. You know, I was thinking you were going to put something like, oh, they're going to be a 6 or something. That was a 10. Yeah, you got to hide your wife, when you're watching stuff like that.
I agree. That's why I didn't let her watch. I told her, I said, you don't watch tonight's show. I'm letting you know right now. Yeah. All right, we got a ton of super chats to get through. So let me get through these real quick. Dave says 7-10. Thought we lose to the Bucks, but beat Seattle. Okay, so you had us at 7-10. One, it went opposite of what you thought, but ultimately the record can still stay the same. I see what you're saying. Jason Lutz says, I'll say it. CMC isn't our most effective halfback anymore. Jason, hold that thought because we got to talk about that. Brother Bob says, time to extend the genius Kyle Levy again. Santos says, no creativity on offense. So basic.
Yep.
I agree. I mean, the one touchdown was super creative. Outside of that, there's a lack of creativity. This guy says, let's stop acting surprised. Too much has been shown how this team is this year. No excuses. Kyle, offense, defense, all out of sync. Not hard to see. That's the other thing. I agree with this. And David, I think you'll agree with me. This team has no quality wins. We have no reason other than past seasons, right? Different teams, quite frankly, different teams. We have no reason other than different players wearing the red and gold in previous seasons to believe that this team is actually going to be able to turn it around, because this season that we're in with these current players and these current coaches, they've shown us nothing. No reason to believe. None. They have zero quality wins. They let every single team back into it. Sometimes they hang on. Sometimes they don't. This team, as it's constructed right now, this year, 2024, has given us no reason to believe. None.
And even the wins where, like we said, that you could argue that they won soundly, were against teams that have a combined 333 win percentage. Right? Like, actually, no, excuse me. Yeah, 333. I mean, this is not,
dude.
And so I think that's the other thing we go to the other super chats where they talk about these other teams. Yeah, we play the Cardinals. Yeah, these other teams. Is that you guys got to start. I think we're understanding, like, we're thinking we're the 49ers of 2023, and that these other teams are just like scrubs. Like these other teams don't have desire to win as well, or have quality rosters, or are beating teams that we're not. And I think that obviously on any given Sunday or Thursday, Monday or Saturday, whatever they play in the NFL season.
Wednesdays now.
Wednesdays. Yeah. I just think that we are nobody. Jesse and I are not saying unequivocally that this cannot happen. We are saying that the
don't bet confidently on it happening is what we're saying.
Right.
Right, like this for what? PGZ says, good games. See you on the round table. Oh God, I don't even want to do that show, but I appreciate you. Dave says, anyone else agree Lyle is the issue? Mason did how much? Then Lyle graces him with 2 carries in a game last 2 weeks. Lyle has got to go, man. I've said it for too long, but hoped he'd do something. Nope.
This is the big question. This idea that, Grant had asked if the 49ers missed the playoffs, they should fire Kyle Shanahan. There's people that have been asking on Twitter, should that happen? It's a great conversation. And it doesn't necessarily mean that people think that Kyle Shanahan is a horrible coach or bad, but like, I think we might talk about this as we get near the end of the show and after other post games. And I know you're going to be talking it throughout the weeks, but at what point does Kyle need to start understanding that there's other teams that are beat up sometimes, and there's got to be some level of accountability. And I will say this, guys, we're all 49ers fans. Put yourselves in the shoes of another fan base, but also put yourself in your own shoes and how you would talk about another 500 team, another team with a coach. How would you talk about the coaches what happens in the just think about that for a second. And ask yourself, what would you say then if it wasn't about your team's coach and it was still Kyle? What would you say? Would you be objective? Would you be nuanced? Would you try to understand it from multiple perspectives, or would you just dig in your heels?
I mean,
listen,
to your point, statistically, Geno and Purdy have been basically the same quarterback this year, statistically. And how much ish do we give Geno? Because he's a Seahawk and he's Geno and he can't beat the 49ers. Well, now he just did. He just did. He's the one that had the walk-off.
Yep.
Killed us with his legs. He just beat the 49ers when he was given the opportunity.
Yep.
but I bet we won't talk about our quarterback that way.
I mean,
just, throw it out there, guys.
But this is the thing. Like, if Grant says, all he said is, if the 49ers miss the playoffs, not if they just lose it, if they miss the playoffs, he should be fired. We're talking about a year, assuming that our starting quarterback, MVP caliber quarterback, hasn't missed a snap. How would you not have that conversation? How would you not humor the conversation? And people say, well, yeah, this guy's okay. He'll be the number one free agent next year. Okay. For coach needy teams.
Right.
I know it's another conversation, but like, we have to start thinking about maybe the people that you think are gods aren't gods. Maybe the people that you think are unimpeachable are impeachable. Okay. And start really understanding, like asking yourselves, do I have a different standard or a double or a triple or quadruple standard for certain people in this building that I do not hold for or use as a metric for 90% of the 49ers of the rest of the league?
Something to think about. Jason says, what's the trade value for Lynch and Kyle? I don't think Lynch has any trade value. Kyle, you might be able to get a couple picks for.
Sure, yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Cryptic says, you just know from the start the team wasn't into the game. Yeah. Again, everything just seems so hard with this team. It's so tough to do anything. Ricky Williams, I'm sure, says, I thought this offense would find its identity today. Debo has to go. Looks, I'm not going to say it, but you can. And slow. Not to mention, clearly can't take over a game like he used to. No, Debo is not the same player.
But he can put his hand on the throat of a long snapper.
He can tell him to lock in.
Yeah, and he can ride tough guy clout from everybody on Twitter who thinks that that's like, yeah, if you've ever played a competitive sport in your life, you'll know that this, because clout wins games, man. Right?
Yeah.
Podcasts that make you fall asleep win games.
The offense was awful. Jennings was the only thing keeping us in the game. I agree. Mason ran twice for 13 yards. Why not use him more? Brock Purdy is not elite and not worth $60 million. And Debo awful again. Jeez, man.
Debo's not. He's not it.
Dana y'all. I always say that. I know that's not how you say it, but it's so funny. He says Dana yo. This season is a wrap. Purdy, middle of the pack. Minshew, Fitzgerald with legs. Debo is trash. Defense is okay. CMC looks to be on the decline. Oh. And Kyle's gonna Kyle. Oh my gosh, dude. Listen, Purdy's not that. I don't think he's that low level, but yeah, he's certainly not a franchise quarterback. Thomas says Mike Tyson could have ran for 34 yards in those lanes. What a joke.
With a thong on.
With his thong on, man. That was great. Yeah. Jay says 17 points scored in a loss. Kyle's specialty. Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to 30 points every game? Dave says, Jesse, you get paid when people are pissed. Yeah, they definitely do got things to say. Dazza says, was told by some Niners fans that Debo was a game changer. He's a bad catcher, bad route runner, can't break tackles anymore. Get rid of him. Yeah, I mean, at this point, without breaking tackles, Debo brings literally nothing to the table. He's not a good.
Yep. Debo has to catch the ball with like 10 yards of separation. So that game, what game was it? Who can, was it the Cowboys? I can't remember anymore. Was it the Seahawks? The game where he, I think it was Julian Love. It was the game in Seattle where the safety didn't play the ball and played Debo, whiffed, and then he's like to the races. Well, guess what? I want to tell you guys something. Every NFL player, every player in the NFL, when they get the ball like that, they can do that. I just want you guys to know that if you like say we're in the block, we're running a 40-yard dash with nobody on me, every single player in the NFL can run real fast in those situations.
Yeah, I agree. Dave says Pearsall had 1 target, Mason 2 carries. Counting
0.
Nothing. Yeah. I remember him on the field like twice, I think, on offense that I can remember off the top of my head. Maybe it was more than that, but that's what I remember seeing.
Well, and Eric Saubert had 1 target. So that when George Kittle is out, and we've talked about this in the offseason, finding tight end 2, John Lynch the golden boy. We went and got Braden Willis, no longer on the team. Cam Lott, no longer on the team. 3rd round, 7th round, nobody there. So they've been trying to find this TE2. We've got an aging tight end. He's had soft tissue issues. George Kittle's a dog. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's the best tight end in the league. I will say that all. George Kittle is an absolute all-time 49er. And there also is that idea that George Kittle's getting older, and these injuries do keep cropping up. And we don't know as this goes into colder weather and the end of the season, if this hamstring thing is going to linger or re-aggravate. And if that is the case, you just got a glimpse today of what the 49ers got. And then I got the audacity of fans to be like, yeah, but we play this other team, my guy. I get it. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm scared of. I don't want to play Arizona in Arizona.
That's the other thing is like, you cannot look at anybody on the schedule and be like, that's a win. That's a scheduled win. That is not the case with this team. They're going to have to fight tooth and nail to win any game. Any game. That's just this season.
Here's a question I have for you that maybe I should wait till later, but do you think other teams in the NFL right now are looking at the 49ers? Now, nobody overlooks any. Everybody knows you're playing an NFL team. Overlook. Do you think that anybody right now, honestly, Matt LaFleur is always going to have respect for Kyle Shanahan, right? There's always these pieces that the Niners are, that would be disrespectful for me to even insinuate that people would be like, oh yeah, Niners are up. But are they scared of the 49ers? It used to be last year that the week after a team played the Niners, they ended up getting beat by the other team because the 49ers were beating up on them and intimidated. Do you think that the teams that are playing the Niners right now are actually like, oof, I'm kind of like, ooh, I'm a little bit nervous for this one. I honestly don't think they are. I think they look at this as like, hey,
I think there's a healthy respect for the 49ers, but they're not looking at it going, oh God, here come the Niners are coming to town. They don't look at it like that anymore, nor should they. I mean, the Lions just put up 50 through 3 quarters for the 3rd time this year.
Yep.
3rd time they've put up a
3 quarters
burger through 3 quarters and then set their starters in the 4th quarter. Not once, not twice, 3 freaking times, man. I'm watching that offense run hook and ladders and all this, dude. It's out of control. And we just struggle to do anything offensively. Anything.
They had 575 total yards with 13 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. Okay. The Lions today, since we're talking about them, finished up. This is like, I tweeted out before, I said that this is Tecmo Super Bowl. Some of you guys are too young to understand what that is.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 42. Tecmo Super Bowl was the upgrade for Tecmo Bowl. Okay. Tecmo Super Bowl is like, you're running the grid. You got Bo Jackson and Barry Sanders and all these people. They're just like, you could run Jerry Rice 100-yard touchdown every play. 645 total yards today. And while they're doing that, they're averaging 8.5 yards per play, 13.6 yards per pass. Oh my God. And get this, 38 first downs. So this is not just like 38 first downs. You'd think, hey, this is all big plays. So they did have big plays, but yet they're also, 38 first downs. I don't think you can, that's an ungodly amount of first downs. Put it this way, Jess. If you get in a first down, right? How many yards do you need to get a first down?
10 yards. That's
10. Okay. So 38 times 10 is 380. That's a good game.
Yeah.
They almost doubled. They could almost come close to doubling that if they wouldn't have pulled their starters. This team could have put up, they could have put up 700, almost 800 yards if they wanted to today. That's not even hyperbole. They were at 600 in the 4th quarter.
3rd time they've done this, man. The 3rd time. That's crazy.
So you think when they come in and say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Lyle is not a head coach. He's a play drawer. Not great. Ski Nation says, love you on the round table and on the Hawks nest, Jesse. Great time. Go Hawks. Finally. Yeah, you guys should be celebrating, man. You really should. You really should. Miguel says, why is Pearsall on the sideline and Kyle lining up as a receiver? What the F? Fire Kyle Shanahan. I can say for certain that Kyle Shanahan will never win a Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to happen here. I don't know if I would say for certain, but it's going to be really hard. Dazza says, can't pay a quarterback $60 million for just not screwing up. An elite quarterback would have found a way to win today. I agree with that. Spokane 509er says, this is on Kyle. He made us one-dimensional. Brother Bob says, where is the Shanna stands now? Shall I debate again? Trash. Oh man, I think you're gonna have fun with Rob this week. GTC Real says the PA second down was poor pass. He makes that. If he makes that, it's a different story. You have to be accurate. Bosa's oblique is a concern. May be season over for
Can I
97.
interject? I got an update.
Yeah.
Bosa was just at the mic at the press conference, and he said he overcompensated on the second sack, and now both obliques are injured. He was then asked his concern level of having to miss some time. He says it's definitely there. I don't know. We got to see. So he was
Both
trying to.
obliques?
Yes. So when you see him and Nick Bosa, clearly he fought through this last week and he played a hell of a game. Nick Bosa's had a hell of a season, and it doesn't always show up in the box score. Okay.
Dude, he was hurt so bad in that Tampa Bay game. I was watching him grabbing his side all game long. He was gritting his teeth and grabbing his side, man. He was trying in the Tampa game.
And he's signed a big contract, right? He's got the big money. He also has to ask himself what you can actually play through before you do something like ripping it off the bone, or you do something like where you're rupturing a tendon like that's going to require surgery and a long rehab.
Well, and all that is core muscle, which he's had issues with in the past. I mean, the last thing you can deal with is a hernia. Then you're having surgery, and hernias are some of those things that just they keep coming back, man, and they will ruin your career if you don't. So there's a lot. I don't know, man. At some point, it's just I don't know. I think that point is if they lose to Green Bay, is shutting guys like Bosa, making sure Dre Greenlaw doesn't come back. Like, these are your future guys. Like, that's well within the realm of possibility.
Well, I just want to walk you through. It's going to be next week. Right now, just a week out. Lambeau's going to be high 30s, kind of windy, and it should be dry. Okay. That's not low to mid 60s like it was in Santa Clara. The Niners have not played a cold game. They've not played a rain game this year. And even at Tampa last week, it was 87 and humid, and on the field it was probably hotter, right? Yeah. So it's like, and even then it was a problem. As a person who's had a hamstring injury before, as a person who's had a lot, I've had a lot of soft tissue injuries before. I live in Minnesota, northern Minnesota. I live on Lake Superior. Trust me, like it's very easy to aggravate it when you're playing in even just a little bit cooler weather, especially when you're not preparing in that cooler weather. At this point, I think I'm going to be surprised if Bosa plays next week. If he's saying what he's saying right there. Now, granted, don't quote me on it. I'm just, but you can quote me on what he said. I think that by what he's saying and what we saw, he couldn't go back in the game when they needed him, and it wasn't his fault, right? It's like, I will say this defense, I love Renardo Green. I love Diomedor Lenoir. I love Fred Warner. I love all these other guys who are trying to they're up and coming. If you take Nick Bosa off this team did not make the upgrades. Yes, Yetur Gross-Matos is back, right? They didn't go make a splash move. When we talked about this, I said, if you're going to make a move, you make a splash move. And they found out that they couldn't. We also had heard, I can't talk about it. They were in the works of like just doing due diligence of actually legitimately considering make a splash move, but thought that the compensation, it just wasn't going to happen. Now, if Nick Bosa goes down, you can sign off on this season. And I'm not saying the rest of the guys are scrubbed. That will render your pass rush completely one-dimensional. Leonard Floyd is an afterthought, okay, if Bosa is gone. Defenses are not going to be worried about opposing teams are not going to be worried about that pass rush. It becomes one-dimensional. It's going to be scary. And then you're going to ask
and then the 49ers don't blitz, and then you're going to force them to blitz, and then that's going to leave a bunch of things open on the back end because Fred Warner's now blitzing, and it's going to be awful. Dave says, why do I feel like Brother Bob and I said all of this? Brother Bob says, shut your mouth, Dave. Purdy is better than Allen. Yeah, he is. Sorry, he is. Joseph Ernberg says, should have gutted this team in the offseason and rebuilt. Hey, listen, I proposed it in March. Nobody wanted to listen to me. Here we are. Eamon report says time for Jed. Amen report says time for Jed York to intervene this offseason. All new coordinators this offseason, even an OC for Kyle. Address the D-line with the first round pick. My gosh. Matt says, man, without Bosa, this defense withers.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
dude, you don't have any pass rushers.
It's over.
Yeah. Carson says we Shanahan-handed that game to the Seahawks. But Rico Westbrook says Kyle gets too conservative in the end of the fourth period. Bro, I don't understand. First of all, I got to fire through these because we got like 40 of these damn things, and I got to put my kids to bed at 8:30. But I do got to say this. He does choose weird times to do things. The end of the half, when you have like 20 seconds left, what good was going to happen there? The only thing that can happen is you do something dumb like throw a pick and give up points right before the half. It made no sense to me. I don't understand it. And then there are other times where you got timeouts in a minute and a half and you just ease into it and don't try to score. I don't. His thought process makes no sense to me sometimes. And the only thing I can point to is that he doesn't have a feel for these games because he's always got his head in the play sheet, man. That's the only thing that I can point to. John Naylor says, Jesse will be a can't miss podcast on Tuesday's NFC Roundtable. Unfortunately, John, it will be. Michael McCann says, on to 2025, do you think LV would trade Michael Mayer? Possibly, but it's going to take a heck of a lot more than Michael Mayer to do anything for this team. That's not doing nothing for me. Matt says Buffalo has a chance for the number 1 seed, so that's a plus. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but are we beating Buffalo? Brother Bob says, I've been saying it. I have zero confidence in Kyle Levy. I will say this. I don't know about you, Dave, but this is a strict feeling. Last year, I had the utmost confidence in any game, whether it got tight, whether just going into it, that when certain critical things or critical moments were about to happen in a game that the 49ers would deliver, I have zero confidence. Zero confidence in them and them just delivering in crucial moments.
Oh, why would you? Like we said, they haven't done it all year. Like you said, even the teams that you've roundly defeated, it's and people say, hey, there's a comeback win. Or hey, because every part of the game matters. So, like for instance, tonight, this week, I've been waiting for Brock Purdy. You know, it was nice to see him use his legs and get in the touchdown, but the 3 and out to start the game, you know, those things matter just as much as the final drive. And I think that these are the things that to me, it's just like, I haven't, correct me if I'm wrong, Jess, and maybe this is just my selective memory and recency bias of just being mired in this depression of where this 49ers franchise is looking like they're going. When have they had a first half where you've like, dang, these guys look good? And if you find one, now granted, we're 10 games into the season, right? So you'd think, right, with the roster allegedly the Niners have on the doorstep of a Super Bowl victory last year, go to overtime with the Chiefs, right? You'd think by this point, 2 weeks after the bye, 10 games in, we could easily say, oh yeah, there was this game. You can't.
Yeah.
Nothing comes to mind.
Maybe the Rams. I feel like I'm reaching, like I'm trying to make it happen. Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that you're saying. Like, I just don't have confidence. And this is the thing. I'm a diehard. Like my kids watch me watch. Like today, I kind of felt the juice come back a little bit at the beginning. But I will be honest. I went to the Chiefs game with my guy, Javi Vega. But before the game, I had no nerves. And I'm just going to be real blunt with you guys. I had no nerves. I was so happy. But once I got in there, I was geeked. I was going in. But any other game, I'm there. I'd have some adrenaline. I'm having fun. We're tailgating or whatever. But I'm kind of like, get that buzz. Like you and I were at the NFC Championship game. Oh, yeah. I was a ball of nerves, man. Because that's also like, but I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting here, we're playing the Super Bowl champions, and I was ready to go to the game, but I didn't have any like of that uncontrollable enthusiasm of I'm worried or I'm nervous because I didn't think that they would lose or win. I actually thought they might win, but I don't have the confidence that they're going to do it. Right.
I don't have that excitement about this year's team.
No, because I feel like my expectation has been shattered every single time. And I'm not trying to sound like some type of weak fan. I'm just like being honest with you. In 40 years of fandom almost for me, I'm at this point where I come into a game and I'm just kind of like, well, let's just see what happens. And the excitement's gone. And I think that says it all. For a guy like me, who is as diehard as it gets, who is just like pacing the house when we play the night, like I have sat comfortably through the last several weeks, even as the shit hit the fan. Yeah. I have not been.
It's just expected almost at this point.
And that's the point. This is why I don't understand the confidence. Like, hey, we play this team again. And that's what's kind of sad for me.
Yeah, I agree. Dave says, Rico, can you throw a football over that mountain? That's actually really funny. Kent says, we are our record, which is mediocre everywhere. Coaching and playing so embarrassing. Green Bay and Buffalo are going to destroy us based on what? Probably what he's meant to say, probably what we've seen or what we are. I don't know that Green Bay. I don't know. I have zero confidence. Never mind. Whatever. Danny D says CMC does not look 100% and Kyle refused to use Mason. Dude, that is so frustrating. Mason is the better runner right now. He's the better runner. CMC means so much to this past game, but Mason is the better runner. And the fact that he's getting 3 runs in 2 weeks is absolutely disgusting. GTC Real says, gotta employ the 2 running backs. What is Kyle's issue? Dude, I have no idea. Vito Burrito says season might be an L, but Jesse's content is a W. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. All day, every day. Kim says, I don't feel sorry for this regime whatsoever. Aren't you a Seahawks fan? I'm pretty sure you are. Brother Bob says, okay, who is John Naylor? Just curious. He's a Seahawks fan. He's found us on the round table. And he comes over and shows love, but he's a Seahawks fan. He just happens to have the same exact name as my dad, but he spells it different. Okay, Kyle Levy equals trash. House Painting says, I'm paying $2 to get an ad on your show. Appreciate you, House Painting. Official BNA Music says, when did Geno start running a 4-3? He's always been a little mobile, man. It's one of those things that people forget, man. Matt McEwen says, if the Lions know beating us would send us home, Campbell is playing his starters guaranteed. He's going to play them anyways. It's not the last week of the season. They're not going to sit their starters. We're not going to get away. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. We will be playing the Lions A team. RS says, was the Debo trade? I haven't seen. Was he traded? Okay. I have not seen him on the football field this season. Side note, Moody has scored more points than him in the past 2 games. Matt says Debo shouldn't be a starter. It's not 2021. John Naylor said, yeah, 20, any of them. John Naylor says, hey, Brother Bob, I respect Jesse a lot, but no relation. Also, I respect you a lot. Yeah, there is no relation. Brother Bob says, John Naylor, no relation. I like you even more now. I hate you, Brother Bob. Royalty J says, why hasn't Kyle been playing Mason? 2 rushes for 13 yards. And that's the other thing. He has 3 carries for 18 yards. He's averaging 6 yards a carry on those 3 carries, and they're not giving him the ball. It's crazy.
We all knew this would happen. We did. We all thought that he would get. We said everybody's like, "Oh no, you just got to wait till he gets. He's going to get." Look, you've got running backs that show that they could win. And in fact, the 49ers. Okay, this is not CMC's fault, by the way. The 49ers have played better without CMC. And the idea that that's on CMC is not what I'm saying. But so the 49ers, Kyle has seen this offense be able to, and I know the film watchers and the guys, hey, Jordan doesn't have the vision that CMC has, or this, but guys, at the end of the day, like, you can say all that, and we can obsess about all that. Production is production. Okay, come on, man. Like, of course, nobody's CMC, but like, we know that we're not asking for a timeshare. We're not asking for David Montgomery, John Muir Gibbs 50-50, but those are like 2 elite running backs, right? We're not talking about like giving them 10 carries, 10, other than 2.
I actually would love to see CMC in the Jahmyr Gibbs role until he's fully back, man. I really would. 10 to 12 carries a game for CMC and 7 to 10 targets. Like, I'm for that. Please.
Keep him fresh. You saw CMC in a couple situations, and I'm not even putting this on him. CMC's a freak athlete. He was winded. right? He's
Dude,
like, he
as
was
he should
tired,
be, right? Yeah.
right? So if you know that, and you know you've got guys who have shown Jordan
Yep.
Mason the most yards of any 49ers running back in his first 5 games, what are we doing?
Absolutely insane. Matt says, "What about me?" And then he says, "If the Lions know beating us would send us home, Campbell's playing a starter's guaranteed." Did I swear I got that one. Hold on. I think I'm behind here. Hold on.
No, I don't think so.
No, Debo shouldn't be a starter. John Naylor. Yeah, I was a little behind here. A little behind. Okay. Matt also says lack of discipline reflects on the head coach. Completely agree with that.
And I tweeted that out, and people said, "Oh, you're a hater."
No, yeah, you're a hater. Mike Henry, that's like this is my favorite thing. When you don't have an intelligent argument or rebuttal or response, it's just you go straight to, "Oh, rip his fan card. He's a hater." That's when I know you have nothing to add to the conversation. Mike Henry says,
"Go ahead, Justin."
I was going to say, Mike Henry says the field goal after the interception and not a TD was rough. Had the Niners scored a touchdown after that interception, Seattle would have needed a touchdown and 2 points to tie. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Or even a field goal on the final drive would have been. Oh my gosh. Anyways, Moises Rosales says, "You guys are my emotional support." We're like emotional sport dogs. Turn on the Jets. Turn the Jets on and coach play all the games like they are the playoff games. No other option. Let's go Niners.
Well,
Sad face.
what we need is Jess and I need to go into that locker room. We need to, we're Cabo boys.
Yeah.
We need to go in there and just culture these guys up.
Yeah, I think so.
Emotionally.
Vito Burrito says Ben Johnson, Robert Saleh, 2025. I think you need to make a presidential campaign shirt for that. Matt McEwen says Purdy is mid. People need to wake the F up. Hey, Matt, don't listen. They're going to come after you. Brother Bob says, "I would say Kyle Levy deserves Hall of Fame status now." Jeez. Dave Barclay says, "I'm saying he's not a coach. He's trash always." Okay. Moises Rosales says, "If they fired Shanahan, Dion, and Shador to San Francisco," I think Dallas is hoping for this combo as well. Yeah. Brother Bob says, "At least Moody made all of his kicks. Good draft pick." Nice. One Airborne says, "I like watching your NFC roundtable. Go Cardinals." Thank you, One Airborne. I appreciate you. Good luck to your Cardinals, but not too much good luck because, gosh, we need a lot of help. Shyla Q says, "Kyle effed up by not using Mason more." Agree. How can the quarterback have a higher rushing average than the offensive player of the year? Thank you. Run Mason. Matt McEwen says, "No BA, no Kittle, zero separation by the skill players." There's so many problems with this offense right now. Thomas Messina says Cowing was on the field for 2 plays and suffered a concussion. Pretty much sums up a lot of this team. Yeah, that's right. He did get hurt. I forgot about that. Jay Small says, "Honestly, think the Niners will lose out." I don't think that, but I don't know. It could be a possibility. Shady Luke says, "I'll never understand how there's coaches who get criticism and called to be fired that win, and Shanahan gets a pass from the media." Shady Luke, you are on point, and I know you're an Eagles fan. I'm sure this has as much to do with Sirianni as anything, but you're right. Absolutely. Daza says, "If Mason is healthy, why not use him and CMC like the Lions do Gibbs and Montgomery?" For sure. Brother Bob says, "Lions don't need Hutchinson. They just put up 50 on us."
Here's a good comment right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson. And this, I saw families say, "Oh God," but they didn't make a splash. They just went, they signed. Look, and Zadarius Smith is a really a plenty good player. But Zadarius Smith wasn't like it required no compensation. It was a drop in the bucket, and it does help their team. But you're losing one of your elite pieces. And you go into Houston and win when Jared Goff throws 5 picks. Your defense does their job. You go in Jacksonville, sucks. But they treated Jacksonville like the Niners are supposed to treat the teams they're supposed to beat up on. And they beat up on them in a historic fashion. Right? That's the Lions' difference. And I was so hard on Dave Camp. I was so hard on him because I was always leery of the rah-rah, "I'm going to bite your kneecap off" guy. You know what I mean? Like, style over substance. It's clear that I was wrong. And what's clear is that guy has his guy, and Kyle is more. Kyle ain't Dave. Kyle's the guy that just wants to condescend to others and has nothing to show for it. And it's clear the culture of these teams could not be more different.
Oh, not at all. And the you talk about, yeah, you can say that they're doing it to bad teams, but we played that same Dallas team. We didn't put up 50. Hell, the Saints, two 3-win Saints beat Dallas way cleaner than we did. The Saints, the freaking Saints, man.
Well, look at the Vikings. They're not a bad team. KOC is one of the best coaches in the NFL. Now, that shows you who Sam Darnold is. They went into Jacksonville, completely depleted the Jacksonville Jaguars, beat them 12-7. It wasn't raining, right? Granted, the Lions are playing at home. 670 yards. I mean, my God. Like, can we just, there's one team in this conference. Not one team that's good or competitive. There's one team that's a juggernaut. And they are a juggernaut.
They are a juggernaut. Billy said, I love that Mad TV deal you got there. Or what is it?
It's Mad TV. Yeah.
Is it Mad Magazine?
Mad Magazine, Mad TV.
Yeah. Anyways. I predicted almost every play pre-snap. How about you guys? Yeah, this is starting to become a regular. I know Ryan talks about this as well. He says, I feel like that is more of a problem than Purdy being mediocre. Listen, David and I disagree on this one. I don't think Purdy's a problem, but again, what are the expectations? It's all comes down to the starting point. What is the base of the conversation? And a lot of people want to put Purdy way up here. He's in the elite category. So if he's elite, then you got to talk about him like he's elite. And if that's the case, then Purdy was a problem today. But if you look at Purdy as a good player, not elite, not the franchise quarterback, then you can be okay with the way that Purdy played. But you don't get it both ways. You don't get to say, oh, but he's the last pick. And, oh, my God. Oh, but then when he plays good, he's elite. And then, but don't hold them accountable when they lose because I know they only scored 17 and can't put up more than 20. And you don't get it both ways. You have to pick a side. I don't expect Purdy to be a world beater, so I'm not going to hold him accountable when they score just 17 points and say that he's the reason. I'm not.
But this is where I disagree with Jesse, even though it's not really a disagreement. I also don't think Purdy is elite. I think Purdy, I have said, though, the 49ers can win a Super Bowl with Brock. I've seen teams win with much less.
When he's inexpensive.
When he's inexpensive and when all the pieces are in place and everything goes right. Okay? And also, I've seen Brock absolutely elevate the people around him in certain situations. I've seen Brock have that courage. I've seen Brock have that confidence. I will say, though, this, if you talk about him as a MVP candidate, if you talk about him as unequivocally elite, if you talk about him as absolutely going to be the $60 million quarterback, yes, I will then hold him to that standard, which is why I look at this game as one of his worst games of his career. As a 49er. I mean, let's be real. There haven't been that many games. How many games has he played worse? What, Cincinnati? Baltimore? Cleveland last year?
KC this year? Not
KC
many.
this year? Oh, God, KC this year was the worst. You're right. But let's see. But if we've got two, I mean, this is still, it's probably in those top 6 or 7 worst games. It's not a great game. And it's not. And there are MVP candidates that do play substandard games sometimes. But we have seen Brock, and people do not want to hear this. He hasn't played a game. There was a couple of games against the Cowboys. Brock played really well. Oh, Tampa last week. Brock did not play that well against Tampa last week. And everybody's going out of their way to talk about how well he played. He told you he didn't play that well. People don't really watch the games. They don't box score scout. He left so much on the it's just gotten to the point where I don't know if people are watching the same thing that everybody else is. And after a game like this, I'm sorry, man. If you're paying this man $60 million, I need to see MVP caliber play. I need to see him go into the Lions Den in Lambeau. I need to see him go and face a real MVP candidate in Josh Allen, right? I need to see him go toe-to-toe with those teams and bring at least one of them home. But I also need to see him elevate those around him in that process. And if that can't happen, then I don't think you can pay him. And it hurts. It hurts me to say that. You think people think it doesn't. I have a Brock Purdy, Iowa State. Oh my God, I want to see him hoist the Lombardi. And I also am just saying,
we want a franchise quarterback, man. We're tired of searching.
And I'm sorry, guys. Like we said this about, and I think Brock is much better than Jimmy. We know that. Okay.
Yes, of course. Yes.
But there was a time when the dialogue around Jimmy was not that, and when people were called crazy for saying that they didn't want to pay Jimmy. I mean, absolutely
reality.
Act like you're some type of you need to be committed.
People looked at you like you had 3 eyes.
Yep. And now it's just like the status quo. It's the norm to make a joke about Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, my God, today I was saying like, hey, somebody made a Jimmy Garoppolo-esque Russell Wilson, Jimmy Garoppolo-esque interception in the red zone. As if Jimmy Garoppolo is the only person that's ever made a stupid play. Like that's where Jimmy Garoppolo is. He's a punchline now. But 3 or 4 years ago, he was a god.
Yep.
He
does go on to say that he does mostly agree with the Purdy talk, though. Brother Bob says, we have been saying these things, Dave. Yep. Fire Kyle. He says, Cali Kid says, why not run the ball on 2nd 11? Also, would you have gone for it on 4th and 5 in their territory? Purdy off script and Jennings was the best offensive plays. I don't know that I would have gone for it on 4th and 5. I don't remember thinking in that moment that I would have, but they definitely needed to score some points. Thomas says had to get a stop without 97, and the offensive failed to score. Fire Kyle Shanahan. After they had just gotten a stop, by the way. Jay says overrated. Bump, 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 bump. Niner Matt says Detroit will destroy us at this point. Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Cameron says, do you guys think this could be Kyle's last year? If it goes completely off the rails, they only win 1 or 2 more games. Yeah, I could see that.
No, he didn't say could. He didn't ask could. He said should.
Oh, should it be? Should it be? If they don't make the playoffs, man, I would strongly consider it. I would.
I'm going to say this unequivocally. If they don't make the playoffs, because, and it's not even about being I'm a season ticket holder. I'm sorry. This business is big business. They have to make the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, I will say it here, and you can quote me on this. This team needs a change. This team needs a change. And people are like, yeah, but they might not. I don't care. It's about winning a Super Bowl. I don't care if they go 9-8 this year and then next year go 7-10. Oh, look, they lost. So what? It's the same thing. Like, this team needs a change if they don't make the playoffs. Kyle has had his choice. He's
had his opportunities.
No. And if you miss the playoffs, I mean, we're talking about missing the playoffs in a conference where everybody wanted to say this in August, how horrible the NFC was. How can
before the season to a T, 49er fans thought this was the best team, and if not, second best team in the conference if you gave the Lions the love. A majority of Niner fans said that the 49ers were still the team to beat. Mm-hmm. Remember,
and that's what I'm saying. If you're saying that, then how can you sit there and like talk out of this side of your mouth and then think, oh God, he'd be first on the list of all these? Of course he would, because they have like guys like Daniel Jones as their quarterback, or they have the Saints, Dennis Allen, right? Or like, I'm sorry, like Gerard Mayo, who's not a good coach. Okay. There's teams that would love to have an upgrade. And I think, but the bottom line is right now we're talking about the San Francisco 49ers, one of the most iconic franchises in the history of sports. And if they don't make the playoffs, they are a laughingstock. They are a punching bag by the media, and they should be. And the only people who will sit here and carry water are the loyalist PR shills in the beat circle.
Yeah. I got it. Hold on. I got to get my kids to bed. Cryptic says, is Bosa's one thing to jump off sides every game? Yeah, every single game. In fact, I had a tweet 2 weeks ago that said it, and then I just said bump today on that same tweet. Gojira Von Jing says, why do you favor the Niners, or who do you favor the Niners to beat? The Bears and
good question.
Bears and Dolphins, maybe, I guess. I don't know. I don't even.
Is that a given?
No, it's not. No, not a given, but favor them probably.
I think
Matt says.
Go ahead.
Matt says Bosa has 3 penalties all year. Yeah, but he does See, it's always a jump off sides type of thing. Kent says Kyle has no marbles. I mean, he should find some marbles. Anthony says this team is the definition of a toxic relationship. It's not working, but so many are just trying to think of the good times. It's so true.
Yep.
Margaret, thank you, Margaret. Thank all of you, by the way. Margaret says karma. 49ers need to pay Santa Clara the money that they owe and build the soccer fields they committed to. Instead of buying the city council, they refuse to pay the cops overtime for working on Christmas. Ooh, man, you just took it to a real personal level, but you're right. 49ers Talk Show says, is Kyle's playbook and Debo sucks 10 games, 1 touchdown. Ayuk 7 games, 0 touchdowns. Kyle needs to be fired, and they need to call Bill immediately. Gregorius Greg, I'm sorry, dude. You went to the game for the first time in Levi, and you had to watch that. Says, maybe Kyle Shanahan is burnt out. He seems cooked. Mike D says, bring back Jimmy G. No. All day, every day, Kim says, I'm a 49ers fan, but will not and cannot cheer for this regime. I think Kyle is not an offensive genius. He couldn't even develop a young, talented quarterback. Wow. Dave says, team needs to change anyhow. Now. Fire him. Matt says, my preseason pick was Detroit versus Baltimore. Detroit wins the Super Bowl. It's a possibility. You had a good preseason pick last year too. Dave says Bears nearly beat the Packers today, though. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not a guarantee. And Niner Matt 209 says San Francisco media is throwing softball questions at Kyle because that's what they do. David, man, thank you so much for joining me, man. Absolutely love you. I'm sorry to cut it short like this. I just got to get my kids to bed.
I'm single-dadded too.
So I got to do my thing. Much love to y'all. I'll be back this week with fire content. Trust me. We're going to be watching the film tomorrow. Much, much more ahead. Keep it locked into Last Second Sports if you are not subscribed. We had over 2,500 strong between Twitter and here. Cannot thank you enough. Make sure you subscribe, like the channel. That really helps the algorithm, gets more people this way. Much love, y'all. Peace.